Ever since I was a little girl, I have always struggled with reading. No matter if it was a book or a simple sentence, I never really understood what it meant. And honestly, I didn't really care much since I was more focused on playing with stuffed animals and blocks. But it all changed when I started going to first grade. First grade was different than kindergarten. Instead of playing, we were more focused on work, like math and writing. We still had a recess, but it wasn't the same. One day, the teacher introduced us to a math assignment that we had to do for the class. The first thing she said was to make sure that we read all the instructions on the piece of paper before starting. When I looked at it, I didn't understand a single word it said because all the letters were dancing and jumping around on the piece of paper without a care in the world. I was confused, and I tried to put them back together or put them back in the piece of paper, but no matter what I did, they kept moving. Eventually, I gave up and tried to focus on the assignment, so I carefully wrote down the answers on the piece of paper. And by that I mean putting random numbers and hoping that I at least get one right. Fast forward to second grade, I still haven't figured out how reading works, and I got bullied for it a lot since the kids in my classroom managed to learn how to read while I was still struggling a sentence. I felt alone and useless because how was it possible that the other kids were getting better while I was getting worse? Eventually, I told my mom about the whole situation, about the bullies and the reading. So she talked to the principal. And the next thing I know, I was placed in a different classroom. The classroom I was in was for kids with special needs. And at the time, I didn't know I was in a special needs program. I just thought it was basically a group of kids playing and doing arts and crafts, like activities. Even though I was placed in a different classroom to help me with reading, I need to practice at home, which meant my mom had to help me. But since my mom was from Mexico, she didn't understand English, let alone teach her child how to read the language. But she tried her best, and by that I mean yell at me for hours on end for reading a sentence wrong. But I couldn't help it. I wanted to read. I really do, but every time I look at a single page, the letters would always run around and be difficult to understand. This would happen every single time I get back from school. And instead of helping me, I gain a fear of reading to the point where I would hide from my own mother just to avoid reading lessons. It hurt her, like it hurt my soul. Eventually, my mom realized that if she kept teaching me, I wouldn't be able to learn how to read. So, she talked to the principal. Again. And this time, the principal decided to send me to a group tutor who specialized in helping kids learn how to read, no matter their reading level, which my mom happily agreed. One day, when I was in the group, I remember we were reading a small sentence about a man and his dog. While the other kids were talking and taking turns reading, I was looking at the piece of paper when suddenly all the letters stopped and slowly went back to their place in the book. This surprised me since it never happened before, and I never thought it would happen. When the teacher or tutor told me that it was my turn, I looked at the page and suddenly I started to read every single letter without making a mistake and without them moving. I was so happy that I could explode with joy. Never in a million years did I thought that reading would be so fun and enjoyable. It felt like I was exploring something new, something wonderful, something magical. After I learned the ability to read, I started to explore different books that were in the library of my school. And with each book I read, the more I wanted to keep exploring. It just felt so magical and wonderful. It even helped me get a cat while I was getting information to convince my parents to get a cat. That was nice. And sometimes I would go back to that memory to see how much impact it had on me. The journey I took just to be where I am today was bumpy and chaotic, but it was worth it. And the best part is, I never saw any letters move ever again.